Assalamu alaikum. This is Dr. Tazeen from Study Medic and mentor at Study MRCOG, and I'm here with another session for all of you as free YouTube series which has been organized for all of you who are preparing for their Jan 2026 exams. This session is about fungi, all the important exam tested areas and high yield areas we are going to cover in this aspect regarding candidiasis, vulvovaginal candidiasis, and fungal infections in OB/GYN, and also about antifungal drugs which can be used and which can come up in your exam. If you have not subscribed the YouTube channel of Study Medic, subscribe now and just click on the bell icon so that you can stay updated with the upcoming YouTube series. Before start of the session, this is just for all of you.
The road may be rough, the journey may be tough, and the experience may be bitter, but remember, they are stepping stones to our future thrones.
So whatever all the difficulties you are facing, I know these days might be very difficult for all of you, but remember that these are the stepping stones for your future thrones. This is going to help you, and definitely you will be rewarded for your hard work. Till then, keep your passion and dedication with all of you. So what we are going to cover is that first of all, we should be knowing that what are the various types of fungi. So yeast is basically candida, and they are having the features of budding and pseudo hyphae. Then septate molds are there like Aspergillus species, and they are acute angle branching patterns they are having. Non-septate molds are there like mucor, they are broad hyphae right angle, and dimorphic fungi are also there which are histoplasmas, and they are temperature dependent in their nature. Clinically important fungi in OB/GYN, basically all of us we are aware about Candida albicans, which actually causes vulvovaginal candidiasis, which is the most common infection in reproductive gynecology. Then Aspergillus causes opportunistic infections, and Cryptococcus species, they are associated with central nervous system infections in immunocompromised women. So candidiasis, basically how we define candidiasis, there are two important definitions which can come up in your exam, and in the same way accordingly you can be asked about the management. One can be acute vulvovaginal candidiasis and the other can be recurrent vulvovaginal candidiasis, and you should be very clear about the definition. Acute vulvovaginal candidiasis is a first or an isolated episode of vulvovaginal candidiasis. So the first and isolated episode of vulvovaginal candidiasis is known as acute vulvovaginal candidiasis, and recurrent vulvovaginal candidiasis is diagnosed when a woman has 4 or more reported episodes of vulvovaginal candidiasis over 12 months. So remember these two numbers: over a period of 12 months and 4 or more episodes. And the most important thing about this is that 2 among these 4 episodes, they should be confirmed by culture or microscopy, not verbal diagnosis. Okay, there are 4 episodes over 12 months or more than 4 reported episodes of vulvovaginal candidiasis in recurrent vulvovaginal candidiasis, and 2 of these episodes, they should be confirmed by culture or microscopy. Then we can say that this is recurrent vulvovaginal candidiasis. So what actually is the etiology of vulvovaginal candidiasis? The causative agent is Candida species, and they are unicellular fungi. The normal habitat for these candida is part of normal flora of skin, moist areas, respiratory, gastrointestinal, and female genital tract. They cause overgrowth of normal flora leading to infection, and this is basically superficial mucocutaneous infection. Genital candida infection do not cause serious systemic disease. Always remember that these are basically superficial mucocutaneous infections, and they are never causing the serious systemic diseases. In 80 to 90% of the cases, the commonest species is Candida albicans, but the other species are also there: Candida glabrata, Candida krusei, then Saccharomyces can be there. And types of vulvovaginal candidiasis, as I discussed in the definition as well, you should be knowing that what is acute vulvovaginal candidiasis, which is the first isolated episode of vulvovaginal candidiasis, and recurrent vulvovaginal candidiasis when there are 4 or more episodes over a period of 12 months, and 2 out of these 4 episodes they are confirmed by culture or microscopy, then we can say that this is recurrent vulvovaginal candidiasis. Then always there are certain risk factors when the infection is recurrent. Why there is recurrence of the disease? There might be certain risk factors which are actually aggravating the situation. So what are those risk factors? The first one is hormonal factors. Increased estrogen exposure, which is in puberty, pregnancy, hormonal replacement therapy, hormonal contraceptions, it predisposes the woman to recurrent vulvovaginal candidiasis. Then there comes certain medications that if the woman, she is using broad spectrum antibiotics she has used within the last 3 months, then she can be predisposed to vulvovaginal candidiasis. Certain metabolic conditions like poorly controlled diabetes that is associated with the recurrence of vulvovaginal candidiasis, and certain local factors and irritants are also there. Perfumed soaps, wet wipes, fabric conditioners, vaginal douches, so they are also associated. Immunocompromised state is also associated with recurrent vulvovaginal candidiasis, and new sexual partners, use of spermicidal gels and creams, they are also associated. Treatment related factors, if the woman is non-compliance with the antifungal therapy, so definitely it can lead to recurrence of the disease. And at times there is drug resistance, that there is resistance to the first line antifungal therapies. That's why the disease is happening again and again. Iron deficiency anemia is again among one of the predisposing factors, and certain causes are often host related, like there are no identifiable causes that we can say that why this disease is happening. So among the signs and symptoms of vulvovaginal candidiasis, always a clinical scenario is given, and you have to identify from the clinical scenario that what actually this diagnosis is and what you have to give as antifungal agents to this woman. So first of all, vulval itching is there, persistent vulval itching, and non-offensive curdy or thin discharge. These are basically the clinical features of the abnormal discharge with which the patient is presenting. So in the exam scenario, they can give you a scenario that a woman has presented. They can give certain risk factors that she is diabetes, she is diabetic, she is immunocompromised, she has been using antimicrobial therapies, or certain risk factors can be there. And then now she has presented with vulval itching, non-offensive curdy or thin discharge is there, there is soreness, there is fissuring, burning sensation is there, superficial dyspareunia is there, erythema, swelling, edema, fissuring, excoriation marks are there. Satellite lesions are the typical lesion pattern in this vulvovaginal candidiasis, and these symptoms, they can be cyclical in nature as well. So when all the pattern of symptoms is given, then you should be able to understand that this can be vulvovaginal candidiasis. So how we can diagnose and which are the investigations which we can run for these patients? First of all, high vaginal swab for culture, which will confirm candida infection. Request species identification and antifungal sensitivities in recurrent vulvovaginal candidiasis. Then antifungal sensitivity testing can also be done to see that if there is any azoles resistant species, so you can prescribe some other medications to treat the situation. Microscopy can show you presence of blastospores, pseudohyphae and neutrophils, which suggests candida infection. So this is exam question as well, that on the microscopy you can see that pseudohyphae are there, blastospores are there, neutrophils are there. So what is this situation? This is vulvovaginal candidiasis. Vaginal pH testing will show less than 4.45, which supports vulvovaginal candidiasis. Whenever the pH would be more than 4.5, it would suggest bacterial vaginosis or Trichomonas vaginalis. So pH less than 4.5 is supporting the diagnosis of vulvovaginal candidiasis. Then certain other supportive tests can also be carried out, like to diagnose diabetes, glycosylated hemoglobin A1C can be carried out, which will screen the woman for diabetes mellitus, especially in the prepubertal and postmenopausal women. And full blood count can also be carried out to rule out anemia, as anemia and diabetes, they are the predisposing factors and risk factors for the development of vulvovaginal candidiasis. Now, various treatment regimes are used for the management of vulvovaginal candidiasis. Always remember that what is given in the exam in the scenario. If they are asking for the management of acute vulvovaginal candidiasis, or they are asking the management of recurrent vulvovaginal candidiasis induction therapy, or they are asking the management of recurrent vulvovaginal candidiasis maintenance therapy. And also you have to be very cautious that whether they have given you in the scenario that the patient is pregnant or non-pregnant, so that you can take care that which medicines you have to avoid in pregnancy and which medicines can be used safely in pregnancy. First of all, oral medications, azoles, fluconazole 150 milligrams per oral single dose can be given for acute vulvovaginal candidiasis. And remember, acute vulvovaginal candidiasis is isolated first episode. Okay, then recurrent vulvovaginal candidiasis, why we say recurrent? 4 or more episodes over 12 months. Among these 4, 2 are confirmed by culture and microscopy. That is recurrent vulvovaginal candidiasis. And the management among the oral medications can be fluconazole 150 milligrams per oral every 72 hours, and 3 doses you have to give to the patient. The maintenance therapy for the recurrent vulvovaginal candidiasis to treat the patient completely, that is fluconazole 150 milligram per oral once weekly for 6 months. Okay, so 3 doses are given every 72 hours for recurrent vulvovaginal candidiasis, and the dose is 150 milligrams and it is given orally. And for the maintenance therapy, it is given over a period of 6 months, 150 milligrams once weekly. Then there are topical agents. Clotrimazole pessary 500 milligram vaginal single dose can be given for acute episode, single isolated episode. Then pessary of 500 milligrams per vaginal can be given for 7 to 14 days based upon the response. So definitely you have to see that how the patient is responding to the treatment. And then clotrimazole pessary 500 milligram vaginal can be given once weekly for 6 months. Okay, so this is for the topical management of recurrent vulvovaginal candidiasis, and maintenance therapy is for 6 months, which is your exam question. Then there can be non-albicans species which are azole resistant. So nystatin pessaries 100,000 units vaginal can be given for 12 to 14 nights, and the maintenance therapy would be nystatin pessaries 100,000 units per vaginal for 14 nights per month for 6 months. So you are giving monthly, you are giving it for 6 months, and you have to give it for 14 nights. Then there are, we should be knowing for the exam that what are the antifungal drugs, what is the safety of these antifungal drugs, which are contraindicated in pregnancy, which are safe in pregnancy. These are your exam tested areas. So clotrimazole, they are available in the vaginal and topical route, and they are used for vulvovaginal candidiasis, and they are safe in pregnancy, and they are first line for vulvovaginal candidiasis. Miconazole is again available as vaginal and topical agents which are used for vulvovaginal candidiasis, and they are again safe in pregnancy. Fluconazole is given as oral agent for acute and recurrent vulvovaginal candidiasis, and it has to be avoided in pregnancy, especially in higher doses, and is safe in non-pregnant women. Ketoconazole is available as oral and topical agents They are rarely used these days as they have hepatotoxicity, which has limited their use. So for exam question, we have to remember that clotrimazole and miconazole, they are safe in pregnancy. Fluconazole is avoided in pregnancy, and ketoconazole is having hepatotoxicity, which has limited its use for the management. Then there are polyenes, which are nystatin and amphotericin B. Nystatin is available as vaginal pessaries. They are used for non-albicans candida, azole-resistant vulvovaginal candidiasis, and they are safe in pregnancy, but they are less effective than azoles. Amphotericin B, they are available as IV agents, severe systemic fungal infections in pregnancy, which is the drug of choice in pregnancy for systemic mycosis. And then other antifungal agents are also there, which are terbinafine and griseofulvin. They are basically used for dermatophyte infections, and oral form should be avoided in pregnancy for terbinafine, and griseofulvin is contraindicated in pregnancy as it is associated with teratogenicity. So antifungal agents which you have to remember, which are safe in pregnancy: clotrimazole, miconazole, nystatin, and amphotericin B. Then which drugs which are not safe in pregnancy: fluconazole, ketoconazole, griseofulvin, and terbinafine. They are avoided in pregnancy or contraindicated in pregnancy. So the fast facts, which are the take home message for all of you among these topics. First of all, you have to remember that most cases of vulvovaginal candidiasis, they are caused by Candida albicans, but non-albicans species are important in recurrent, and there are treatment resistant cases as well. Non-offensive Kerdi discharge with intense pruritus is characteristic of vulvovaginal candidiasis. So if in the scenario it is given that there is no smell, there is non-offensive discharge, curdy white in nature, and intense pruritus is there, they can give you fissuring, they can give you excoriation of vulva, they can give you satellite lesions. So the answer would be vulvovaginal candidiasis. Normal vaginal pH would be less than 4.5 with curdy discharge and pruritus, which will strongly suggest vulvovaginal candidiasis. If, however, the pH is more than 4.5, then it can lead you towards the diagnosis of bacterial vaginosis or Trichomonas vaginalis. And then recurrent vulvovaginal candidiasis, as I have emphasized a lot that this is exam tested area. More than 4 episodes in 12 months. 2 episodes should be confirmed by culture or microscopy. Always induce remission first, then start the maintenance therapy. Maintenance therapy is for 6 months. Candida glabrata are often azole resistance. So in the azole resistance, we have to use nystatin for the management of these cases. Vulvovaginal candidiasis in pregnancy, topical azoles can be used for 7 days. Systemic fungal infection in pregnancy, amphotericin B has to be used. Recurrent vulvovaginal candidiasis, oral fluconazole can be used, but it is not used in pregnancy, so it needs to be avoided in pregnancy. And non-albican candida, nystatin is the treatment which we have to opt in exam questions as well as clinically. So this was all about fungi, which are the exam tested areas, very high yield areas. Fast facts are there. So please go through this session, just complete your revision, and we at Study Medic wish you all the very best for your upcoming exams. Have a great day.